Hello, everyone. On this podcast episode, I'm going to talk about randomness again and how our world isn't a world of randomness. The randomness you see in this world is controlled randomness. As in, there's a pattern to the randomness. The chaos that you see in this world isn't truly chaotic because there's an order to its chaos. You may see this world as a mad world, but there's a method to the world's madness. There's a pattern to its randomness. There's an order to its chaos. The world isn't random. It isn't as random as you think it is. Randomness must first be added to a world before you can experience it. Why? Because randomness must follow a logical pattern. So think of this: if you're someone like a video game developer, right? Or a computer developer, a programmer. If you want to develop a software, right? Any type of software, you realize that software doesn't automatically come with randomness. You must first create a logical pattern that governs how randomness works. Randomness isn't random. Why? Because it follows a logical pattern. Without the developers adding randomness to a software, the software will not have randomness in it. It just won't. Because randomness itself must follow a logical pattern. If it doesn't have a logical pattern to it, it won't exist. There's a logic within the randomness. There's a logic that governs the randomness. This is why, in video games, right? And gambling games, I've talked about this in a previous episode. In gambling games, right? If the developers don't want you to win, you won't win the game. Most of these gambling games are random generated games. As in, they're games with odds where you can win or lose. They're games that's based off randomness. Yet the truth is, these games, their randomness is controlled. It's based off odds. You have a 1 in 4 chance of winning the lesser prize, and a 1 in 100 chance of winning the greater prize. Meaning the randomness there is fully under the control of the developers. The people who created that gambling game, the people who created that software, right? Put parameters that govern how random something can be. Whether it's 1 in 10, 1 in 2, 1 in 3, whether the odds are 1 in 3, 1 in 2, 1 in 10, or 1 in a million. It is fully under control. It only appears random from one perspective. From the perspective of the players. From the perspective of the developers, there's no randomness there. Because if the developers give you a 1 in 10 odd, you won't win the game. In 1 in 5 or 1 in 2. The chance of you winning the game in 1 in on your first try isn't that high, right? Right? So here's how this works again. You may think your odds are 1 in 10, right? You play a game, you think your odds are 1 in 10, but you don't know how these developers created that game. If the developers don't want you to win the game, you can't win the game. No matter how random the game is. If the person who created that game does not want you to win the game, all the random answers you get will be the losing answers. You will always lose. If the developers of a game want you to win the game, no matter how random that game is, you will always win. Randomness has a logic to it. There are parameters to randomness. There's a limit to randomness. And that's how this world works as well. There's a limit to what a human being can give birth to. What a woman can give birth to, no matter how random it is, there's a limit to that randomness. There's a logic to that randomness. It isn't really random. If the odds are fixed, then it isn't random, is it? For example, if the developers of a video game, right, coded the video game to make sure you always lose, no matter how random, your answers are, no matter how random your results are, you will always lose, right? So although the game is random, it isn't really random, is it? If you're fated to lose every single time, the game becomes a scam. That gambling game becomes a scam. Why? Because it's really not random. It only appears random, but there's no randomness there. If you're forced to lose every single time, then it's not random. Same with the human body. There's a limit to what human beings can give birth to. If there's a limit to what human beings can give birth to, then what human beings can give birth to isn't random. It is not. If there's a limit to what you can do, then it's not random anymore. If there's a limit to randomness, it's not random. And there's a limit to what human beings can give birth to. A human being can never give birth to what? A car. Not just any car, but a Tesla. A human being can never give birth to a Tesla. A human being can never give birth to a Boeing 747. A human being can never give birth to a private jet, an airplane, a car, a house. These are things humans can't give birth to. If there's a limit to what human beings can give birth to, then what human beings can give birth to isn't random, because there's a hidden limit there. If there's a hidden limit there, then it's no longer random. Now is it? This world is a world filled with the illusion of randomness. But there's a pattern to the randomness. This is why, gamblers, these gambling companies get caught all the time cheating. Because when people start realizing that the odds are against them, the odds are lower than the odds are advertised by these gambling companies, they call the cops on them. If they realize the pattern to these gambling games, these random games go against them, they call the cops. And then these gambling companies get arrested. Something that appears random isn't really random. Do not be fooled. There's a limit to the randomness. Everything in this world has a limit to its randomness. A human being cannot give birth to an attack helicopter, cannot give birth to a nuclear weapon, cannot give birth to cars, houses, planets, galaxies, solar systems. A human being cannot give birth to the universe. You just can't. We can't give birth to, computers. We can't give birth to SSDs, hard drives. We can't give birth to cell phones, video games. There are a lot of things human beings can't give birth to. Why? Because there's a limit to the randomness. No matter how random childbirth is, it's not really random. If there's a limit to the randomness, then it's no longer random. Now is it? And this world has limits to its randomness. It's only random from one perspective, from the perspective of the players, from the perspective of the people who do not understand how the randomness works. When you understand how the randomness works, it's no longer random. Now is it? Because the person who created that randomness placed limits there. There are limits to the randomness in this world. Otherwise, there will be no such thing as randomness. Randomness must follow a logical pattern. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. Everything in this world follows a logical pattern. If there's no logical pattern to the world, the world won't exist. This is a world governed by logic. The only reason why we can understand the world is because this is a logical world. Human beings cannot understand things that are illogical. We just can't understand things that are illogical. What you see as randomness isn't really randomness. There's a logic to it. True randomness can be understood. It just can't. We live in a world filled with pseudo randomness. That's why everything makes logical sense. It is logical. We know for a fact that human beings cannot give birth to airplanes or cars because it's illogical for a human being to give birth to what? A house. It is illogical for a human being to give birth to what? An airplane, a car, a cell phone. It is not logical. Randomness is not logical. We don't live in a world of randomness. We live in a world of logic. There are logical reasons why everything exists. That's the only reason why our minds can understand the world, because this world follows logical patterns. There's always logical, ways that govern everything in the world. There's a hidden logic to everything in this world. There's a hidden logic to childbirth. There's a hidden logic to the way planets behave. There's a hidden logic to the way stars behave. There's a hidden logic to the way atoms behave, cells behave, plants behave, animals behave. There's a logical pattern to the way everything in this world behaves. That's why it's called science. Science is there to find the logical patterns in the world. That's what science is there for. That's why, scientists tell you, if a theory can be tested and repeated over and over and over again and come up with the same results, it's not a theory. It's not a scientific theory. If it doesn't make logical sense, it's not a scientific theory. If you create a theory that comes out with a different result every time, it's a wrong theory. This world is a world that is governed by logic, not randomness. This is why you can drive cars. This is why you know exactly how fast you're driving through, on your speedometer. This is why, they place those speed scanners, right, on the highways that test how fast you're driving. This is why cops can find out how fast you're driving and pull you over. Why? Because the world always follows the same logical pattern. You can test and repeat every single thing that's happening in this world, because the world is in a world of randomness. The world follows a logical pattern. As long as you understand the logic to the world, you'll get the same results every time. As long as you have the right formula, you will create gold every single time. As long as you have the right chemical formula to an object, right? You can create silver. There are people creating silver all the time, using the exact same formula over and over again, and always come up with the same answers. Why? Because there's no randomness to atoms. You may say atoms are random, but when you can use atoms to come up with the same results every single time, then atoms aren't random now, are they? A hydrogen atom have always behaved like a hydrogen atom. A helium atom has always behaved like a helium atom. Silver has always behaved like silver. The way it behaves hasn't changed. And there's a logical pattern to the way it behaves. There's a logical pattern to the way every atom behaves. There's a logical pattern to the way every molecule behaves. There's a logical pattern to the way every planet behaves. There's a logical pattern to the way the universe behaves. And logic itself implies intelligence. The only reason why humans are intelligent is because humans are logical. Without logic, there's no such thing as intelligence. Meaning, the whole world is a logical world. The whole world is an intelligent world. You're living inside an intelligent world. The world itself is intelligent. That's why everything in the world follows a logical pattern. That's why everything in the world follows an intelligent pattern. You're living inside an intelligent being. The world itself is intelligent. Because the world is intelligent, that's why humans are intelligent. Our intelligence, our logic, comes directly from the world itself. It's because everything behaves logically. That's why humans behave logically. Because everything behaves intelligently. That's why humans behave intelligently. Our intelligence comes from the world itself. Because the world itself is intelligent. Our emotions comes from the world itself. Because the world is emotional. The world has emotions. The very fabric of reality is intelligence. That's why the whole world is governed by logic, governed by intelligence. If you throw a rock on this side of the world, right, it'll behave exactly the same way as the other side of the world, the opposite side of the world. Why? Because it's one world. Since it's one world, it is governed by the same intelligent being. If the being does not want rocks to behave differently on this side of the world, it won't behave differently on this side of the world. You're living inside an intelligent being. That's why you're intelligent. You're living inside a world governed by consciousness. That's why you're conscious. You're living inside a world that's alive. That's why you are alive. Your very existence itself and everything inside of you, everything that makes up your body, is the very world itself. You being intelligent automatically implies the world's intelligence. Because the world is you, the world will always be you. The thing that makes you up is the world. So your intelligence automatically implies the world's intelligence. Because the world cannot be removed or separated from you. What you are is the world itself. So your intelligence implies the world's intelligence. Your logic implies the world's logic. Because the world is logical, that's why you're logical. The world itself is God. And that's what the Bible tells you. Through God, all things exist. Through this world, all things exist. God and the world are the same thing. So why doesn't God call himself the world? He does. He has stated himself, through God, all things exist. Even, there are many passages in the Bible that tells you that God is everywhere. God is everything. If God is everything, it automatically means that what? God is the world itself. Because God is omnipresent, God is the world itself. And every Christian knows that God is omnipresent. The entire Bible tells you that God is omnipresent. That is the very definition of the world. The world itself is omnipresent. Because the world is omnipresent, the world is what? Omniscient and omnipotent by default. You can't be more powerful than the world. You can't know more things than the world. You just can't. The world is omnipotent, the world is omnipresent, the world is omniscient. The world itself is God. Because that's the very definition of the Christian God. Omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. That's the very definition of the world itself. God states in the Bible, I create all existence because only I exist. And that's what the world is. The world creates all things because only the world exists. God is the world itself. The reason why God doesn't explicitly state, I am the world, is because it's already implied that God is the world. When God tells you, wherever you are, I am always there. When God tells you everything around you is me. When God tells you through me all things exist, what does that imply? It implies He is the world itself. God is the world around you, and the world around you is intelligent. God does not call Himself the world, just like when you see your cells, right? You call it your cells. When you see your arm, you call it your arm. You don't call it you. When you see your legs, you don't call it you call it your legs. You don't call it you. Your heart is your heart. It is in you. Your brain is your brain. It is in you. That's exactly how God sees it. The world is a part of God. The world is God. Your heart is a part of you. Your heart is 100% you. Your legs are a part of you. Your legs are you. Your cells are a part of you. Your cells are you. Without your cells, you won't exist. Yet, when you call yourself, you don't call yourself your cells. You call yourself you. So when God sees the world, God will not call Himself the world. God will call Himself Him. Just like you won't call yourselves you. You will call you you. You are you, and your cells are your cells. You are you, and your organs are your organs. You are you, and your DNA is your DNA. But without your DNA, there's no such thing as you. Without your cells, there's no such thing as you. But it's implied. It is always implied that God is the world itself. In the beginning was the world, and the world was with God, and the world was God. And that's what you need to realize. The world was God, and the world still is God. So that's it for today's podcast episode. You have to understand that this world is a world of pseudo randomness. There's no randomness there. It works just like a gambling game. The randomness is fully under control. There's a pattern to the randomness, an order to the chaos, a method to the madness. I pray for everyone's safety and understanding. Amen.